All right, so let's kind of move on to Joe Biden. All right, so we've all heard the Breakfast Club interview with Joe Biden and the comments and everything like that. And that was so basically, I wanted to have you on because I just see a larger amount of people that are disillusioned with the party, just with politics in general and everything like that. And I try to tell them, hey, you got a lot of stuff at stake, like the Supreme Court, a lot of federal justices and everything like that. They can really like change uh, America for some decades, like a couple of generations. Not just I don't see anything happening from this, but like literally change the like landscape of America. Okay, so let's talk about Biden's comments. How do you feel about those? And what do you say to people that are disillusioned with the whole thing and might not think about voting?
Yeah, I mean, we go to the same barbershop, right?
Yeah.
When I heard it, I was like, this is something somebody would say in the barbershop.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden shouldn't be one of those people saying this in a barbershop.
And I totally agree. I totally agree with it.
I think he felt way too comfortable with, obviously he's very proud of the work he's done with black folks throughout his career, even though he has a few things in his record that are troubling. But I think you're going to find that with anybody that was in politics in the 90s and 80s.
Can I say something? Can I speak freely?
Yeah.
I'm going to speak freely. And I know people are going to call me about this, but I really do feel this way. I think we look at the 93 crime bill in total hindsight. It was a horrible, we found out it was a horrible idea. To say people didn't support it back then, all across the aisle, all across the board, is not factual.
Yeah.
Like, that bill had a lot of support.
There were a lot of black people that supported that bill. That people were scared and tired of crime and crack. So there were a lot of people that supported something that, looking back, it was not the right decision, but it was in response to something that was really real to people in their neighborhoods and their communities.
Like the 80s and 90s were pretty much all about ultra violence, and I mean, you can even go back and look at like some of the art and the music and like movies, just like how it, people say, man, you couldn't make this movie now. And it's like, yeah, because the 80s was a crazy ass time. And I think, hearing people talk about that 93 crime bill, and again, of course, a horrible idea, but I don't think people think about that crime bill critically enough.
Yeah. And I think also if he's not your candidate or she's not your candidate, you can always find something to dislike about him. Joe wasn't the person I endorsed. I got to endorse Senator Warren, and I still think she's probably the most qualified and will be the best president. But, one of the things I like to tell people is you're voting for more than just one office. You're voting for, like you say, judges, a Secretary of State, somebody over Health and Human Services, an Attorney General. It's way more than just one person to vote for. And he's not going to be the only person in the ballot. So it just, to me, is so short-sighted to say, well, I don't like Joe Biden that much, I'm just not going to vote, and think it's not going to impact you. If seeing 100,000 people dead right now, and many of them, you just have to say it, many of them many people did not have to die because of how terrible the response was here in the United States. You can't look at that and say this stuff doesn't impact you directly. It impacts you, there's an impact on all of this, and deciding not to vote just because you think it's not going to touch you is just very short-sighted.
How do you feel about with like Diddy and Ice Cube? They're on the whole, hey, you have to deserve the black vote type deal. How do you feel about that entire process?
Yeah, I don't think. I think everybody has to go out there and work and earn votes and talk about policy and talk about issues and then back that up with actually fighting for those policies and issues. I think sometimes we get a little bit carried away with talking about a black agenda as if we're going to pass one big bill that just benefits black people. You can talk about a lot of different issues as far as healthcare, housing, raising the minimum wage, workers' rights, unions. All of these things tie in and help, black and brown people, but it's never going to be just one piece of legislation that gets that done. And, we got to have more than just one person in office to get that done. It's not just going to be Joe Biden. We need a Senate majority. We need a House majority. We need better judges because all of this stuff is getting challenged and thrown out because we have so many right-wing judges that are being appointed that don't really care about what the law says. They care about what the party says. And, all of this stuff, you're not going to get anywhere. We're just going to keep going in circles with this if we think we can just vote every 4 years and then turn it off during midterms.
Yeah, because I still don't think people really understand the damage that was caused with the 2014 midterms. Yeah. You're kind of seeing things now. And, I just don't want it to be so short-sighted because sometimes, it does feel like, hey, I am black. I have been voting since I was 18 years old. My grandma told me, hey, you're going to vote. We disagreed about some things before, but she was always telling me, hey, you're at least going to vote. And I understand that people fought for our right to have the choice to vote. I understand that. And I tell people that all the time, like, it is, yeah, you have the choice to not participate in it if you don't want to. And you can also vote for whoever you want to vote. I just want people to be more informed, and I would just like more people to recognize the way certain things are.
Yeah, it's weird to me because I think with technology, you have access to so much more information now, yet people are still I think people are misinformed a lot now because there's so much out there and they don't, it's easy to manipulate people or think that someone isn't in their best interest or something isn't in their best interest. And the easiest thing to do is just give up and just throw your hands up and say, I'm just not going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And, and life doesn't work that way. Even if you don't want to be a part of it, it's going to bring you into it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So, we talked about gerrymandering. We talked about all that other stuff. What's in the cards for you? What you got going on?
We go back to session tomorrow, so that's going to be my life. Trying not to get sick at the Capitol. Washing my hands, wearing a mask. Trying to get some improvements in our healthcare system, continue to fight for Medicaid expansion. One of the things I want to see if we can get is some money for community schools in our state so we can have a lot of different interventions and services through our school districts. Mm-hmm. We've got a long list of policies that we have put together that we can try to tackle during this emergency, and the money from the CARES Act is an opportunity to do some of those things. And we still got regular legislation that we're trying to get passed as well because we didn't complete the session. So right now, that's my focus is trying to complete this session and try to get as much good out of it as possible, and fight what bad may come up as well.